In order to understand our human origin story, we have to go back to the very beginning of the oldest tablets ever written. In order to understand that story, we have to know a little bit of history first.
Hi, I'm Roderick Martin, UFO researcher and field investigator. Not only I would break down some of the amazing evidence, but I also would go through why they, or the government, the big secret keepers, are keeping it a secret.
Everyone knows about how President Jimmy Carter had seen a UFO. He filed a report back in 1969, and that's an interesting sighting. But I'll tell you, that's nothing compared with what Reagan experienced while governor of California in the summer of 1974.
Hey, it's Billy Carson, also known as Forbidden Knowledge. I'm sitting here with the Decoders of Truth gang. I got Matthew LaCroix, Rex Beard, and Jake Campbell. We're going to talk about the power of the Trinity today, and we're going to talk about cryptic designs and how it deals with divinity and spirituality, and all the ties into ancient cultures and civilizations.
Welcome to Mind Over Matter. My name is Nikki. I am a psychotherapist, global life coach, and author. Cognitive behavioral therapy basically takes your thoughts and your behavior, and we look at them and how they coincide and analyze what's working and what's not working.
Hello, welcome to the series of Fit Life with Maria Redman. I am Maria Redman, owner and founder of Pura Vida Wellness Health Solutions, and I am super excited to share this series with you. In this series of Fit Life with Maria Redman, what we're going to be talking about is everything nutrition, workout, and just daily life.
Thousands and thousands of years ago, extraterrestrials visited our planet Earth. Our forefathers at that time were Stone Age people. They had no idea of technology, so they believed, erroneously, that these extraterrestrials are some gods. Of course, we all know there are no gods, but our Stone Age people believed these are gods. So the so-called gods entered into mythology, into the legends, and also into the great ancient religions. This is the hypothesis, the basic idea.
Hey, all right. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for hanging out. I had to push the podcast back 1 hour. That's why we're starting at 9 instead of 8, because I had an IT guy working on the internet here. And it was going up and down. I didn't want to start the podcast and could not finish, or either have it interrupted in between. So I had to wait for him to get completed with his work, and he's gone now. So we are all set. All right. Hey, I see Eric said he just ordered the compendium of the Emerald Tablets. Thank you, Eric. I appreciate that. By the way, let me go ahead and give myself one more real quick shameless plug on that, because the compendium of the Emerald Tablets is a #1 bestseller on Amazon. #1 out of 3.5 million books in ancient civilization. So thank you to every single person out there. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for all the support, all the love, and all the amazing reviews that the book has gotten. Those reviews have done a lot, because those reviews literally, they help the algorithm for on Amazon to allow people to see it more. And so with over 1,660 plus reviews, 1,660 reviews or so, the book has gotten a lot of notoriety and has been a bestseller for quite a while, but has now reached #1. So it's always been in the top 100, which makes it a bestseller, but finally reaching #1 and sustaining that for actually a couple of weeks. Pretty incredible. So again, thank you everyone for supporting and being a part of the journey and reading the compendium of the Emerald Tablets. If you don't know what that is, that's my book. If you're just now joining us for the first time, Compendium of the Emerald Tablets by Billy Carson. It is available on Amazon and, of course, on 4BK.TV or forbiddenknowledge.com. And my Egyptian Mystery School has a lot of knowledge and wisdom that comes out of this book, which I put into my Egyptian Mystery School teachings, which are on exclusively on forbiddenknowledge.tv or 4BK.tv. You can also get it on Apple TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV. You can get it on iOS platforms and Google Play, as well as the web, the Forbidden Knowledge with the #4, Forbidden Knowledge TV app. All right, guys, today's going to be a hot topic, as you all know, a spicy topic. From time to time, I come on here and talk about different religions. I've been talking primarily about now the religion of Christianity for the last few months, just maybe once or twice a month. I'm going to move on to others very soon. I've covered others before, but you got to recycle, because a lot of people, they missed it in the beginning, or maybe I didn't have that many followers when I first talked about them. So I'm going to be going through and breaking down a lot of these different religious books and texts and belief systems and breaking them all down. But in a very constructive way, in a way that hopefully educates you and allows you to begin to ask more questions. Because one thing about dogma, it's basically taught to you and forced upon you. And then what they do is they teach you to not ask questions. Don't question this information. Don't think about the ramifications of this information and what it's doing to the world and how it's affecting you and others psychologically and physiologically, but just focus on the end result. The end result is being swept away into this magical heaven, right? And living on for eternity. But to do that, you have to go through all this turmoil and death and destruction and everything else. And if you don't follow in line just the exact right way, and if you don't pay just enough of the right amount of money, you may not make it to that great beyond, that great, amazing location they call heaven. So, during my times and travels all around the world, talking to indigenous cultures, talking to different peoples, and understanding that heaven itself, according to the ancient people, according to the wisdom keepers that has been passed down and handed down through verbal histories, and also in ancient texts and tablets, they believe that the heaven that religious people are nowadays calling this magical location that you travel to, that you transcend to, for them, heaven was actually another location. And it was a location that was based off of leaving Earth and going into space. And the people that taught them this, according to them, not according to Billy Carson, came from space, came from another place, another location, whether it was another dimension or whether it was another planet. Either way you want to put it, they didn't come from Earth, making them, by definition, aliens. And so, when you look into a lot of these religions, actually all of them, every single one of the religions, you find something very interesting, very, very interesting. And what you find is that in these religions, I should say, the people, they don't understand that they're worshiping a being or an entity that claims to not be of this earth. And so when you're worshiping and praying to an entity that is not of this earth, you're praying and worshiping an alien. Look up the definition of alien in Webster's dictionary. Okay. And it's either a person from another region on the planet coming to your location, or it's an entity or being coming from off the earth, from outside of this planet. And so if you look at the definition, by definition, every religious person is worshiping aliens, whether they want to admit it or not. There's no way to escape it. That's the actual definition. They're worshiping aliens. And if they claim that they're not worshiping aliens, then what they're saying is that their God that they're praying to and believing in is from Earth. So now making that entity a person and not a God. And they don't want to take that away from it either. So it's a conundrum. But again, they've been taught not to ask questions, so they don't want to question it. And they tell you in church, don't question the Lord, don't question God, right? Well, first of all, that's nowhere in the Bible, number one. That's just something that the pastors and the teachers made up to keep you in line so that you don't ask too many questions, because you know why? They don't actually have the answers. So that's one of the main reasons why. And so it's an interesting thing, because the more you look into these ancient texts and these tablets, and the more you look into, all these different religions that have cropped up, you start to realize that they took the majority of their knowledge from ancient texts and tablets. And then the powers that be, they twist it here, turn it there, sprinkle a little something over here, sprinkle a little something over there, and convert it into their own ideology and their own dogma. And then they shove it down your throat, and then they make you shove it down your kids' throats, and you can keep shoving it and shoving it and shoving it. And then generations later, it's accepted, right? Like I always say, when you're born, you're given a name, a race, and a religion, and you spend the rest of your life defending a false identity. Literally, that's exactly what happens. And you defend this false identity until your death. You really, truly believe that's who and what you are, and that is your designated belief system, not completely understanding that your belief system was pre-programmed into you. It was passed on to you through epigenetics, through the RNA and the line of the father from generations prior, 15 to 20 generations of people being programmed into this dogma has been passed directly into your body. And then when you come out of the womb, it's pounded into you right away. We got to go get the baby Christianed. We got to go get the baby, doused in water, right? This holy water. And we got to get the baptism going. And so you are indoctrinated literally into this ideology and this belief system without ever knowing for yourself whether it even is accurate, true, what untruths, what lies were told, what's the original source of the material, where this information came from, who came up with the idea, who wrote this text, and why, what are the original languages, what are the original tongues, what are all the translations that make this. You're not given any of that. You just literally take it and run with it as if it's absolute truth. And the problem with that is, without questioning, is you don't find out any of the real truth. And that's exactly where they want you. Because if you find out the real truth, what's going to happen? Religion will collapse within just about a week or so. Once people find out the real truth about religion and the system, and understanding that the information is heavily skewed and altered and on purpose by accident mistranslated in a lot of cases, and twisted in a way where these people are the people of power, can control and manipulate you for financial gain and also to suck your energy, literally energy vampires. They also have a quest and a thirst for that power that comes with ruling over people. And the fact that they can control so many people in a mass amount, it gives them a physiological sensation of joy. It releases endorphins into their body. Their brain releases the endorphins, and they get this physiological attitude or sensation that gives them this great feeling on the inside. They get a satisfaction from doing this to you, and you don't even realize it. So we're going to get right into it. And let me just send this one quick message here because we got to get the water because this is going to be a spicy conversation. Okay, it's going to be incredible. And we are going to dig in deep here and we're going to get this thing started. All right. So let me go first because, I would say maybe a month or two ago, I was going into, some topics kind of similar. And I was really touching on, could the God of the Bible be Satan? And let me first start by saying to you guys this. I meditate and pray every single day. The God that I'm praying to is not the same God the majority of the people on this planet pray to. And I don't pray the same way everybody else prays. I believe that the power of the divine is inside of my body. So my prayer is, it is done. That's my prayer. That's my prayer. I'm not going to be getting on my hands and knees and begging and hoping and whining and calling out all these things that I need and want and all the things that need to happen for me to have a good day. I'm not going to do that. It is done. I command it into existence. That's my day. That's my prayer. And I meditate. That's it. As simple as that. I don't pray over food. I don't pray over food and hope that it's okay for my body. First of all, let's analyze this. If you look at the food, and the food is ham hocks and with gravy and pork chops and all these things, right? And and you decide to pray over it, what are you doing? Come on, let's be real here, okay? We got at some point. Have you ever seen the plates at these church fundraisers? The plates of food they sell you, all this, high cholesterol, macaroni and cheese, and all these things that are going to give you diabetes. And then you pray over that food as if some magical way you're trying to cast a spell. This is what you try to cast a spell on the food so it doesn't kill you. But guess what? Fail every single time. That same food you're putting in is going to kill you. I've seen people praying over candy bars, religious zealots. They pray to get a candy or snack or something. They're praying over the candy bar. I mean, come on, guys. We got to stop the foolishness. Okay? We got to stop. Water. That's what we need to be putting in our bodies. Agua. And, so we have to use a little common sense as well. People want to pray for military soldiers want to pray that they can destroy their enemy. So they believe in their mind that the creator of the universe, which I believe there is a creator of the universe. I believe this because the mathematics and the quantum physics proves that we're living in a creation. We're living in a fractal holographic matrix. It was created by somebody. Somebody programmed this matrix. We're living in a coded program, period, point blank. No matter how you want to, how you can wrap or can't wrap your mind around it, that's what we're living inside of. And that's a creation created by someone somewhere on the outside of this realm. I mean, for all we know, we could be living inside of a science experiment of some kid in another universe. Either way, we're living in a creation. And so I believe that we're living in a creation. I also believe that there's divine energy imbued into all the energetic particles that exist in this entire realm, which are all what make up your body and everything else, and that your consciousness is being streamed in from even higher dimensions because we're not really here. And so I come in from that level of knowledge and that level of power. But the average person is thinking, I'm going to beg and pray for this this car payment to be made, and for my payment for my rent or my mortgage to be paid, and for my child to get the, I can come up with the money for the tuition for the college, and my car broke down. I mean, come on, guys. The creator of the universe is not going to stop creating a whole nother universe and a whole nother sun or solar system, whatever it's trying to do, whatever this energy tries to continuously create, and come back and say, you know what, this guy needs a car payment made. Let me go ahead and take care of this. They want to win this war. Let me go ahead and kill these people for them, And then you got the rappers that get on stage. You make a song about Molly and drugs and dope and killing and beating women and having sex with your girlfriend, your wife's sister and cousin, and all of this crap. And then you get on stage and the first thing you say, I want to thank God. Do you think God is got anything to do with you being on that stage to get that award for making songs about beating and killing and raping women and doing drugs? I mean, come on. But they all do it. They get on first. I want to thank our Lord and Savior. Do you think your Lord and Savior helped you write the lyrics to Pop That Molly? Come on, man. We got to stop. I mean, at some point, we're being laughed at by other beings. They're just watching us. They're just watching us, and they're going, man, when are these people going to really wake up? I mean, this has got to end. When is this? How many more millennia? How many more eons is this reality show going to continue? So I was talking about the fact that could the God of the Bible be Satan? That was a few videos ago. If you haven't seen it, make sure you watch it. I think it has about 400,000 views. And I went through a lot of information showing you, based on my research, that the entity that people are praying to is not the God they think it is. I believe, like I said, that there is a creator of this universe, but the one in the Bible is not it. Not even close. It's actually multiple gods in the Bible. That's why they said, let us create man in our image. It has nothing to do with the Holy Trinity. That didn't even exist at the time that information came out. But they try to twist your arm and make you think that, but it's not. It's these Anunnaki beings, these people that were written about in the Sumerian, cuneiform, and Babylonian and Akkadian epics. It was gods with an S. And if you find the original translation of the word God, you'll find that in the Bible, it's mistranslated to be singular when it's actually plural. Everywhere where you see the word God in the Bible, it's gods with an S. And now it's not a capital G, it's a lowercase g, because these people didn't create anything in the universe. All they did was manipulate and create havoc here on this planet. But they masqueraded as gods, and people believed it because people have this innate thing inside of them that they want to worship. They want to worship something outside of themselves so badly that they will give anyone the level or the title of a deity, right? And so that's what has been done. Human beings are just one gigantic cargo cult. If you don't know what that is, look that up. When a more advanced civilization or a group of beings meets up and enacts and engages with a group of beings that are less advanced technologically and spiritually, the less advanced beings will then deify those more advanced beings. They will automatically, instantaneously deify them. Even today, if an alien landed in a spaceship in the middle of town, the town square, a lot of people will drop to their knees and start praying, thinking it's Jesus Christ returning. When Jesus never said he was returning. Jesus never said he was coming back. He said the Christ would return. And the Christ existed long before he was even born. It's the Christ consciousness. Before Jesus, there were many Christs. It's a understanding, a level of thinking, a way of ascending to a higher level of knowledge and wisdom and understanding about yourself internally, and then out on the outside, the world as a whole, and understanding that there are levels to ascension, and being born again has to do strictly with raising your consciousness to a higher level than it was before. And you will continuously be born again over and over again as you ascend to higher dimensions of knowledge and wisdom and understanding. That's what being born again is all about. It has nothing to do with dousing your head in some kind of water or a pool of water and somebody praying over you and all that kind of foolishness. Nothing at all. That's all stuff made up by men. And anything that a man touches corrupted. If you look at the ancient mysteries, being born again is all about how far you can ascend consciously. And then looking back on that previous level you were at and realizing, wow, I was there. Now I'm here. I learned so much to get to this level. Now there's even another level. And the top level, who knows where that's at? It's a continual process of growth, nonstop. I'm still learning. I'm still growing. Every single day. Every single day, there's more to learn. There's more to understand. There's more knowledge and wisdom to gain. That's why I love to travel to these places and meet up with these indigenous cultures and these sages and these wisdom keepers and talk to them, so I can find out from their perspective what is their handed down verbal history is closer to the truth than any book you can even pick up, and they're all telling me the same exact thing. Jesus is not returning. The Christ will return. The Christ consciousness, when that comes back in each and every individual person, we will head into a golden age. We will head into a golden age as a species on this planet. It's a level of consciousness that will spread around, and every single person will ascend to a certain level of that Christ consciousness being. That will actually mean the return of the Christ. And it has nothing to do with a person coming back. It has nothing to do with somebody coming back to snatch up the souls that, beg for forgiveness and all this other kind of crazy nonsense that was fabricated. None of that stuff. Okay. Let's take a look. Let's take a little dive in. Okay. Let's take a little dive into this book. All right. See what we got here. We're going to dive in, guys, to some knowledge over here. All right. So, all right. That's right, Terrence. Where's Terrence at? Terrence had a good quote up here in this chat. Let me see. Where's Terrence? I saw Terrence say, yeah, the age of Aquarius. Terrence Tech. He's absolutely right. When the Christ returns, the Christ consciousness in every individual person, then we will be headed into a golden age. The age of Aquarius is upon us. The age of Aquarius. All right. So, let me get out of this. All right. Let's have a look here in the Bible. I'm just going to read some stuff to you here. Let's talk about, before I get into all the murders, let's talk about one of the very first craziest scenarios, most sadistic scenarios I've ever read in the Bible. Like I told you, I've read this Bible inside out, upside down, over and over, analyzed it, broke down the information into the root languages, Aramaic, all the way back, and then trace back all the location of where all this information came from. A lot of it came from Sumeria, from the Babylonian epics, from the Akkadian epics, the cuneiform tablets that were left behind, cylinder scrolls, papyruses out of ancient Egypt, the Egyptian Book of the Dead, all these ancient texts, the Indian Vedas, the Tibetan Book of the Dead, the Book of Going Forth by Day, the Atrahasis epic, Enuma Elish, the Epic of Gilgamesh, which is the true and full story of Noah. All these texts, this is all what's making up the majority of the Bible. And of course, then the New Testament, a lot of these places where Jesus are speaking, it comes directly from the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, 36,000 years before he was even here on this planet. So pretty interesting stuff. Where is this information coming from? It's coming from super, super ancient information and wisdom and knowledge that was then curated and then spun to control the masses. But let's look at this one of the very first things I ever read that really had me scratching my head as a kid. I think I was 3 years old when I was reading this. My father would make me do book reports on the Bible when I was a kid. And so I came across Genesis 22, where God is speaking to Abraham. And he wants to test Abraham. And this is what he does. He says, sometime later, God tested Abraham. He said to him, Abraham, here I am, he replied. So Abraham's speaking to God now. They got an open conversation, right? They're having a communication back and forth, two-way conversation. It's like, matter of fact, oh, here I am. Then God, this is, to me, let me start right there, because to me, this also, to me, dictates the fact that they are having a personal relationship, but not spiritual. I believe that this entity he's talking to is a person that he thinks is a God. I don't think he's talking to some mystical, invisible figure. I think he's talking to a person that's right there. Then God said, take your son, your only son, Isaac, whom you love, and go to the region of Moriah. Sacrifice him there as a burnt offering on one of the mountains I will tell you about. Can you imagine that? So this person who you worship in and thinking is the almighty creator and the almighty creator of the heavens and earth and the universe and is all knowing and all love and everything else. And now this person who he calls a he, by the way, because I don't believe God has no gender, but there's a he all of a sudden. He's telling this guy, I want you to take your firstborn son and I want you to kill him in my name's sake. That's what he's telling him. So early the next morning, Abraham got up and sadly saddled his donkey. He took with him 2 of his servants and his son Isaac. When he had cut enough wood for the burnt offering, this man is following through on this craziness. Tell me this ain't sadistic on both sides. He set out for the place God had told him about. On the 3rd day, Abraham looked up and saw the place in the distance. He said to his servants, stay here with the donkey while I and the boy go over there. We will worship and then we will come back to you. So he's lying now. Now he's telling a lie. He's trying to tell his servants, man, we're just going to go over here and pray for a minute and come right back. He ain't doing that. He's getting ready to go murder his own son in the namesake of this fake God. Okay? Abraham took the wood for the burnt offering and placed it on his son Isaac. So now he's putting the wood on his son. Talk about going in raw. He's crazy. And he himself carried the fire and the knife as 2 of them went together. Isaac spoke up and said to his father Abraham, Father. Yes, my son, Abraham replied. The fire and the wood are here, Isaac said. But where's the lamb for the burnt offering? He don't even know he's about to get murdered by his own dad. He doesn't even know his dad is taking him up there to kill him in the name of his God with the lowercase g. Abraham answered, God himself will provide the lamb for the burnt offering, my son. And the 2 of them went on together. Again, he's lying again. You providing the doggone lamb, Abraham. You're providing the lamb. Okay? Nobody's forcing you. Nobody's got a gun to your head to do this. Nobody's got a bow or an arrow or a spear pointed at your skull or your heart. Nobody's making you do this. All right? You're doing this because you want favor with the Lord and all this other kind of craziness. When they reached the place that God had told him about, Abraham built an altar and he arranged the wood on it. He bound his son Isaac and laid him on the altar on top of the wood. Then he reached out his hand and took the knife to slay his son. This is under the orders of God now. But the angel of the Lord called out to him from heaven, Abraham, Abraham, here I am, he replied. Do not lay a hand on the boy, he said. Do not do anything. Now I know you fear God. Man, listen. If that kind of stuff doesn't get you pissed off, then you don't understand what's going on here. If you think that that's love, if you think that fear means love, then you don't have no idea what love really is. If you think that the all-knowing and all-loving God, he good all the time, is he as he was, he is now, and if will forever be, the preacher will tell you, right? That means he's the same entity right now then. The one that told this dude to go up on the mountaintop with his own kid, his only son, his firstborn, that he loved so much. This guy bounds his son and pulls out the knife and gets ready to slash his own kid's throat in the name of God. Why? You think he did this because he wants to show God how faithful he is? He did it because he doesn't want the wrath of God. You see? That's why God said, now I know you fear me. That is very sadistic and very evil. Very evil. That's an evil thing to do. That's evil. And so you lie a few times to your people. You're lying to your kid. Then you strap your kid down. He's traumatized for life. That kid is traumatized for the rest of his life. Your own father straps you down to an altar, doesn't even warn you or tell you anything about this, and he gets ready to slash your throat, and all in the name of this fake God. And then God goes, "Oh no, I was just kidding, man. I would test you out, see where your mind was, see if you really was fearing me." That's evil. And if you think that's love, then you have no idea what love really is. You see what this God of the Bible does? He preys on fear. He preys on fear. And I do mean a he. Now I'm gonna call it a he, because the God of the Bible are men. They're actual flesh and blood people. They're not. It's not in the creator of any universe at all. And so he's preying on the fear. He's using fear tactics to win people over. And these people, they don't understand that the powers that he has are just high levels of technology and wisdom that he can wield over them. So they're thinking, man, if I don't do this, this guy's gonna kill me and the whole city. I gotta go kill my son now, or I'm gonna face the wrath of God. So instead of saying, you know what, God, no, take me, or I'll kill myself on the burnt offering, he goes, yeah, I'm gonna wrap my son up and tie him down, and I'm gonna go ahead and kill him. This is the mindset of these people. It's a psychosis. This whole religion thing this dogma is a complete psychosis. And there's people out here just to this very day that will kill you over a religious belief. More people have died on this planet over religious belief than any other reason on the planet. More people have died on this planet in wars because of religious beliefs more than any other reason. Think about that. Think about that. Yeah, that is right, Sharon. That is right. That's absolutely right. And I'm going to tell you why it's right. When you operate in fear, there is zero love. Absolutely zero. None. Doesn't exist. When you have to manipulate people to make them love you, the reason why the majority of people are going to church and doing all this praying and everything else, and I've had a few Christians tell me this, is because they're doing it just in case. They think that, oh, I better do this just in case heaven is real. Well, let me tell you something. The majority of the reason why you're praying and doing all these rituals and everything else and drinking the blood and eating the flesh and all this other craziness is because you yourself want self-preservation. You do not want to burn in this fake lake of fire that doesn't even exist, because that was added to the Bible. The lake of fire doesn't even exist. It's fabricated. But you think you're going to suffer for all eternity. So instead of having the suffering, that's where the fear kicks in. Man, I better do this, because if I don't, I'm going to face the wrath of God for all eternity. So then what people do is they pretend, oh, I'm calling on the Lord, I love the Lord. It's all about self-preservation. That's the problem. It's all about self-preservation. Let's have a look here. How many people are killed in the Bible? That's the topic of this talk, right? Well, let's have a look. He wiped out all but 7 humans during the flood, killed countless tribes and cities. This is God doing this. He even killed his own son. He killed his own son, right? He killed his own son. He loves killing. He killed around 3 million people according to the Bible. Okay? This is the God of the Bible. So who's doing all the killing in this Bible? Have you read the Bible? Do you know who's ordering all this bloodshed and murder and killing? And if this ordering of bloodshed and murder and killing was to create a better world, look at the state of the world today. I don't think it worked, guys. I really don't think it worked. If that was the ultimate goal, was to kill all these people to make a better future, sorry, all-knowing, all-omnipotent, didn't work out for you, did it? Didn't quite work out the way you wanted. God killed around 3 million people according to the Bible. And how many people did Satan kill? There's a discretion between the interpretation of the actions between 3 and 10 people. That's what Satan supposedly killed. Between three for sure. There's 3 for sure. But 10. Now, the 10 are interesting because the 7 sons and 3 daughters of Job. But the thing about that killing, if you want to call it that, he does it because God allowed it as part of a bet. There was a wager between God and Satan about this, and Satan won the wager, and so he let him kill Job's sons and daughters. So technically, the blood is on God's hands. Yeah, that's why I say between 3 and 10, but technically to me, it's all still the opportunity was still created by God, the opportunity to do this. So when you analyze that and you go, man, out of all these people, millions of people were killed and enslaved by God, and only a handful, not even enough to count on both hands, were killed by Satan, and most of them were as part of some opportunity that God gave him to be able to do it. It just doesn't make any sense. Who's doing all this killing? Do you think it's the creator of the universe, the all-knowing, all-loving God that creates planets and universes, that transcends time and dimensions, that can create molecules and atoms and all this kind of stuff? Or are you finally wrapping your brain around the fact that it's most likely not that entity, but most likely someone or some people that masqueraded as gods back then and fooled, I mean, pure tomfoolery, these people, hoodwinked these people, and got them believing in this information. But in all essence, this entity or these entities, these people were not God at all. They were just normal flesh and blood people with more advanced knowledge and wisdom. And because of that, they were able to rule over people in a way that the people would deify them and pray to them. And then that same tactic that they use in fear to get people to worship them and work for them as like slaves, to get them to kill and slaughter one another, is the same exact teachings that you're getting today and teaching to your kids. It hasn't changed. It's the same exact teachings, except you try to sugarcoat it and try to, oh, it's because it was in some of the Old Testament and things were different back then. No. God is the same all the time. So you got to stop the contradictory information. Then like I did the last time on the last video, I went straight into the New Testament and showed you everything. It's the same thing in the New. This the Old Testament. Oh, well, let me show you something in the New Testament then. Well, Jesus basically, he said, I'm an advocate for slavery. Yeah, slaves. Make sure you honor and worship your master like you would honor and worship me. That's in the Bible. That's in the New Testament. Oh, yeah. And if talking to the slave master, hey, if you beat him too good now, listen, don't kill him. If you don't kill him, then, okay, we let you slide. If you kill him, then you got to pay a fine to the church. Come on, man. This is craziness. Listen, I'm against slavery of any type, and any entity or beings or any writings of anybody who wrote anything about advocating for slavery. I'm totally against that. I guarantee you I'm totally against that. And so what are we talking about here? Who is doing all this killing in the Bible? It's not Satan. It's not Satan. It's not Satan. And all these people. He never said that. Well, listen, anybody on here who want to challenge me and challenge my wisdom, you're more than welcome. Because I guarantee you won't be able to even come close to what I know about this book. You won't be able to even come close. You won't be in the same category. Because your total level of knowledge is only the Bible. You have never read a Sumerian tablet. You have never read a papyrus. You have never read a cuneiform tablet. You have never read ancient texts of any type, Indian Vedas. You've never read the Mahabharata, the Bhagavad Gita. You've never read any of the Indian Vedas. You don't even know any of the source material for the teachings of Jesus, which come out of the Emerald Tablets. You've never read the Emerald Tablets. You've never read any of these things. And so your only base source of knowledge is a concordance and a modern day Bible, which is an absolute joke. An absolute joke. An absolute joke. It can be pulled apart, torn apart, and broken down within just a few minutes. First of all, I ask any Christian, I challenge any Christian, who wrote the Bible? I've never gotten the right answer since I've asked that question. Every time I ask them face to face, who wrote the Bible? They don't have no idea. They start telling me the apostles' names. They start talking about Judas and John and all these. No, they wrote nothing. Those men were illiterate men. They couldn't even read or write. They were illiterate people. The Bible was written from 100 AD to 900 AD by Phoenicians, followers of Hermes, Thoth, the Atlantean priest king. That's who wrote the Bible, and they didn't write a Bible. What they did was they started copying ancient texts from all over the world, remnants of the Library of Alexandria, copying these ancient texts onto different parchment papers and stuffing them inside of vases and jars inside of caves. Over time, between 100 AD to 900 AD, explorers and archaeologists coming across these vases and opening them up, finding all these ancient writings. These ancient writings were copied from, okay, let me translate this tablet onto this writing, onto this parchment paper, and then I'm going to store it away, right? They would study these things and read them inside of caves in the middle of the night and stuff like that. And so over the course of that amount of time, 180 to 900 AD, that's after the death, Jesus and Paul and Judas and Matthew, they were dead 2,000 years prior. They were gone, long gone, ancient history. The Bible wasn't written in real time. Nobody was walking around going, what'd you say, Matthew? Let me write this down again. Wait, say that again, because I didn't quite hear that last sentence. Let me write this down again. Nobody's doing that. Nobody go, no, hold Jesus, hold on. Say it one more time, sir. I didn't get that last quote you just said. Let me write this down one more time. Come on, man. That was written long after these people were gone and passed away. So where did this information come from? It came from ancient texts and ancient tablets, recopied onto different parchment papers. And the proof is in the pudding. You can go back and you can find those same exact quotes and statements and words out of the ancient text. It comes right from there. Some of it copied word for word directly onto these parchment papers. Then later, people who discovered these things, eventually they came together and brought them all together and said, hey, let's make a canonized book out of this. And that's when the Council of Nicaea got together and they started going through and curating what they would put into this canonized Bible and what they would not put into the canonized Bible. And then when they got to a good mix of neuroscience where they knew they can utilize this information to control masses of people, they said, we're going to put this one out right here. Boom. We altered this. We changed that. We mistranslated this by accident on purpose. We changed this around. We put this over here. We moved this around. We took out the part talking about aliens. We took out the part talking about spaceships and UFOs. Okay, so now I think we got something here. We can dominate the planet with this. And then how did this information get spread around the world? How did Christianity make it around this planet? Well, you do just like your father does it, don't you? Apples don't fall far from the tree. God was doing all the murdering and killing, so did the people. The people followed the book of the Bible, letter, word for word, and then what they do, they went around this planet, killing and murdering every indigenous culture until they got the Christianity on every single continent. Christianity is literally spread by killing and murder and rape. If you don't believe this, just pick up a history book. Just go to the library and pick up a history book. You'll find out. During the papal inquisitions, when Rome was extending its power and trying to take over the entire planet, they slaughtered and killed over 80 million people under the Pope's orders. Various popes over the years. 80 million people slaughtered, murdered, killed, raped. The museums for the Inquisitions still exist. You can go into Rome and you can go to museums where you see the tools that they would use on people. They would use a pope's spear and insert it into a woman's vagina. And then that spear would pop open inside the vagina and explode the vagina from the inside because she wasn't ready to believe in the Catholic religion. They would take a pyramid with a spire on top, or a very long needle, steel. They would raise a man up, bound him by his hands, raise him up, and then they would roll him down onto that spire through his anus and roll him back up again, and roll him back down again, and roll him back up again until he died. This is how they got the town to say, man, we better follow this stuff or this is going to be us. They would take and go to an indigenous culture. Every continent has been attacked by these people. They go out and every continent you could think of, they show up with we're here to bring you the good news. And then the next thing you know, you're getting raped, pillaged. They take the chief of the town, bring the chief to the center of the town, call everybody down. Then they burn the chief or kill the chief or torture him in front of everyone and say, now you learn our language and you learn our religion or this is going to happen to you. And that's how Christianity got spread around the planet. It didn't get spread by love and all the good vibes and all this kind of stuff. And we bring in the gospel and the good news to the planet. No, it got spread by rape, torture, murder, killing. And then after that happened to that first generation, but the second generation and the third generation comes, now they're born right into it. They automatically are into it. They're automatically into it. That's it. They're done. They're in. They're in. They're hook, line, and sinker. They're done. That's the new Dogma. That's their new belief system. And then they're going to teach it on and on and on and on and on. These people were geniuses how they put this thing together. Absolute geniuses. That's neuroscience at the highest level. They applied that neuroscience through this text, manipulated it, and used it to manipulate the entire planet, which generates today trillions of dollars globally. Globally, trillions of dollars. And people that are running around here dropping on their knees and begging for all this stuff. And that's not even how that they got you thinking that's how you're supposed to pray. Drop down on your knees and weep and beg the Lord to give you this and beg the Lord to give you that. That's not how it works. You haven't read the text. You haven't read the ancient tablets. And you haven't read the parts of the Bible that they didn't corrupt, that they forgot to take out. Like the fact that you are God's. You forgot about that, didn't you? That you yourself are God. And that Jesus said, you will do greater things than me. Oh, you forgot about that, didn't you? Let me read a couple of Bible quotes to you that'll blow your mind away. Hold on a second. I'll read a couple of Bible quotes to you. I went over some of these before in the previous video, but I have a few that I didn't touch on. But I'm going to touch on a couple of these because you need to understand what you're doing here, what you guys are believing in, and what you're following is an absolute farce. Check this out. This is some crazy stuff. Black people are still right now the last people on the planet. We're still last against all the other races in terms of where we've grown consciously and spiritually, financially, economically on this planet. We're still in last place. It is a fact. It's a fact. You can try to be like, oh, but we got DB. No, we're as a complete group globally. Add up all the black people around. Black people are still being sold as slaves in Libya today. $400 a head. That's why when I go to Egypt, I have an armed guard and my head is on a swivel looking for any abductors because Libya is right around the corner. There's today, right now, and the videos are online. You can see the videos of the torture camps that they do. And the women getting ready to be sold off into sex slavery. And the men tied up and chained up in these slave camps. $400 a head. The Arabs are selling them. $400 a head. Today, and this is 2022, going into 2023 soon, and we still have slavery on this planet. Okay? Now, what's interesting about that is the Bible totally condones slavery. Totally condones it. Watch this. Let me pull up some of these verses here. Ephesians 6:5. Slaves, obey your earthly masters with deep respect and fear. That's the same fear that God was demanding with Abraham, wasn't it? That's the same exact level of fear. Slaves, obey your earthly masters with deep respect and fear. Where do you think these slave masters got their ideas and concepts from? Why do you think they had church back then? Why do you think they had church? They used to let the slaves go to church, but the master would sit there at the church to make sure that slave who was reading the book was reading some of these verses, letting them know, hey, man, you got to obey this is in the Bible. We got to obey these people. We got to worship these people. Serve them sincerely as you would serve Christ. Ephesians 6:5. Oh, it's in Ephesians, guys. They're talking about Christ. Oh, yeah, this ain't the Old Testament stuff that you was, saying, oh, well, that was the old, things were different back in the day. No. Everything changed in the New Testament. That's the first thing Christians will tell you. Everything changed in the New Testament. No, it didn't. Slaves, obey your earthly masters with deep respect and fear. Serve them sincerely as you would serve Christ. Christians who are slaves should give their masters full respect so that the name of God and his teaching will not be shamed. If your master is a Christian, that is no excuse for being disrespectful. You should work all the harder. You see how they're programming you to work hard and be a slave? You should work all the harder because you are helping another believer by your efforts. So pick that cotton out there. Get that cotton and pick that cotton, boy. Because guess what? You're serving God. Teach these truths, Timothy, and encourage everyone to obey them. 1 Timothy 6:1-2. Come on now. This is crazy. This is absolutely crazy. Check this out. In the following parable, Jesus clearly approves of beating slaves, even if they don't know they were doing anything wrong. The servant will be severely punished, for though he knew his duty, he refused to do it. Don't say no to picking this cotton. But people who are not aware that they are doing wrong will be punished only lightly. Oh, I didn't know about this, so beat me a little bit less. Okay, don't beat me too much, just a little bit less. Just beat me just a little bit less, and I'll be good. I'll be a good slave again. Much is required from those whom much is given. Oh, they use that all the time, don't they? Much is required from whom much is given. They use this all the time. That's a famous quote, but nobody knows that quote comes from the advocation of slavery in the Bible. Nobody knows that. Much is required from those to whom much is given, and much more is required from those whom much more is given. Luke 12:47-48. You didn't know that. That's a famous quote that everyone uses, right? They use it all the time, but they don't tell you that it comes from a quote that advocates slavery in the New Testament. They don't tell you that. You see, there's just so much of this going on, so much murder and killing and pillaging in this book, where these gods with an S, lowercase g, were people, were fighting each other, and they were using humans to do these battles. Kill people who don't listen to priests. Anyone arrogant enough to reject the verdict of another judge, or of the priest who represents the Lord your God, must be put to death. Such evil must be purged from Israel. Deuteronomy 17:12. Right? Kill homosexuals. If a man lies with a male as a woman, both of them shall be put to death for their abominable deed. They will have forfeited their lives. Leviticus 20:13. And ironically, in most Christian churches today, homosexuality is actually pretty much normal, but they're not killing each other. The majority of them are homosexuals, and a lot of these bands and the choirs. I mean, it's a fact. Come on, it's a fact. Don't get offended. It's a fact, and it doesn't bother me at all. I'm just saying they didn't read this part, I guess. Death for hitting dad. Whoever strikes his father or mother shall be put to death. Death for cursing parents. If one curses his father or mother, his lamp will go out at the coming of darkness. We're going to put his lamp out. We're going to put the lamp out. Right? Death for adultery. If a man commits adultery with another man's wife, both the man and the woman must be put to death. There's a lot of authorized killing here. A lot of this came out after the 10 Commandments, by the way. So the 10 Commandments came out in the beginning, thou shalt not kill. And the next thing you know, kill non-believers. They entered into a covenant to seek the Lord, the God of their fathers, with their heart and their soul. And everyone who will not seek the Lord, the God of Israel, was put to death, whether small or great, whether man or woman. 2 Chronicles 15:12-13. Kill. If you don't believe in my God, you got to die right now. This is after the Bible says, thou shalt not kill. All this killing comes. Matter of fact, when Moses went to the top of the mountain and got the 10 Commandments, he came back down. He didn't like what was going on in his camp, so he started killing everybody. After he got the commandment to not kill, he came back down and started killing everybody. But this is all authorized by the God. Again, not my God, not my God of this universe. This God, this fake God inside the Bible. Kill women who are not virgins on their wedding night. How would you know? How would you know that this lady ain't a virgin? Yeah, you know. But if this charge is true, that she wasn't a virgin on her wedding night, and evidence of the girl's virginity is not found, they shall bring the girl to the entrance of her father's house, and there her townsmen shall stone her to death, because she committed a crime against Israel by her unchasteness in her father's house. Thus shall you purge the evil from your midst. Deuteronomy 22:20-21. kill followers of other religions. Oh, we got the right religion here. We know everything. We're geniuses over here. We got like 2,000 IQ. So if your own brother or your own son or daughter or your beloved wife or you or your intimate friend entices you secretly to serve other gods whom you and your fathers have not known as gods of any other nations, near at hand or far away, from one end of the earth to the other, do not yield to him or listen to him, nor look to him with pity upon him, to spear or shield. Nor look with pity upon him, to spear or shield him, but kill him. This is crazy. So if somebody comes up to you and like, look, man, I know you into this whole thing with this Abraham God and all that, but check this out. I have a little bit of information I want to share with you that I found out about some other things that exist. Right away, if you do that, that's it for you. You're done. They're gonna turn your clock off. It's over for you. Your time is run up. Your time is run out. You're done. You're going to sleep for life, forever. You're gone. Bye-bye. Kill him. Kill him now. You can't even think about talking about possibilities that may exist elsewhere. It's over for you. You're done. You shall stone him to death because he sought to lead you astray from the Lord your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, that place of slavery. There was no slavery in Egypt. That's one of the biggest lies they teach you in Christianity. There was no slavery in Egypt. It didn't exist. I've been there. Egypt, the people who worked on those pyramids and all that stuff, they had health insurance. And I'm not just saying health insurance to make it sound fancy. We found the records. There's temples out there where the workers would go. They had health coverage. So when they would break a bone or a leg, it was brutal work. They got paid. We have their wages. We have their salaries. All this information is saved in stone. It's etched. We have the papyrus papers with all the receipts. We have the work that was done. We have the different repairs that were made to their bones and everything else, all the different medical bills. All of that is evidence. We have all the evidence. There was no slaves. They did this work as a labor of love and for payment that they would use to take care of their families. Like somebody would construction worker would go build the Empire State Building. There's some construction workers that go and build these huge cities and these monuments all over the world. Same exact thing. It was just a job. There were no slaves out there. There were no slaves. The people that fled out of Egypt were following Akhenaten, Pharaoh Akhenaten, because he had decided to turn into a one-God religion, a monotheistic mindset, monotheistic religion to worship a one God. And he had obtained these followers, and they left with him. There no slaves were out. There were no slaves in Egypt, not one. Those people were getting paid, man. They were working, taking care of their families. Suppose a man or woman among you in one of your towns that the Lord your God is giving you has done evil in the sight of the Lord your God and has violated the covenant by serving other gods or by worshiping the sun. This is what Akhenaten was doing. He was worshiping the sun god Aten, who also known as Amun-Ra. So this guy here who's telling this God here is speaking to his people, telling them, look, if you worship my cousin Amun-Ra, you're in trouble. And so he says, or any of the forces of heaven, which I have strictly forbidden, when you hear about it, investigate the matter thoroughly. If it is true that this detestable thing has been done in Israel, then that man or woman must be taken to the gates of the town and stoned to death. Deuteronomy 17, 2-5. I can go on, guys. This is the kind of stuff you guys believe in. Not all of you guys, but Marduk is one of the most evil people to ever exist, and that's Amun-Ra. That was the sun god. And so what was happening there was these Anunnaki people, they were arguing and battling each other using human beings as the warriors. And sometimes you would see that the angels, which are really the aliens, would get involved in these battles as well and go to war with the humans. They'd have to put on helmets and breastplates, and they would have to get swords, and they have to go fight. These same angels that the Bible talks about were having sex with women and homosexual sex. They were getting drunk. They were doing partying, all this crazy stuff, right? So that was in the Bible too. So these were not angels. These were aliens. These were these Anunnaki people. You're working and fighting with human beings for whatever reason. They always wanted to have control over more land, more resources. And these people, these aliens, kept fighting each other using human beings as chattel. If you look into the Indian Vedas, you find that there were these huge flying cities. And these huge flying cities, in my opinion, are UFOs. They were flying cities with literally thousands of people in each one of these vessels. And these vessels would go to war above land against each other in plain broad daylight. Well documented. These people were warring people and always fighting over more resources, more land, because why? Earth was a breakaway civilization for them. And it was always a consistent battle over control from the very first time they got here. The very first time, the first one who landed here was Alalu. Alalu killed the king on Nibiru and then fled to Earth. And then from Earth, he negotiated back with them a deal that he would have kingship and he would keep his life on Earth as long as he gave them the location of some of the resources and was able to transport resources back to Nibiru, which were greatly needed there. So this story is much bigger than you even think. You don't even come close, most people, to understanding where all this information comes from and what the true information is really all about and what the underlying story is really all about. Who is doing all this killing? It's not the creator of the universe that you think I believe it. Everybody thinks there's this creator, that's grand creator, this grand artist. I believe that. But guess what? In that book, that ain't it. That's a murdering, a sadistic, psychopathic, narcissistic murderer. That's what that is. And unfortunately, that has really crept into the DNA and the epigenetics of people on this planet and has us beating that same garbage into every single one of our generations over and over again. And I'm here to try to stop it. You can believe in a creator of a universe. There's nothing wrong with that. But understand that that is something that doesn't even exist inside this universe. You're not going to interact with, you're not going to walk up and shake hands with this entity. You're not going to hang out and go have a beer at the bar and hang out with prostitutes like Jesus did. You're not going to, have casual conversations about killing people. That's not going to happen. It's not going to happen, guys. It's just not going to. There's no book. I've gone through over 1,000 books. That includes scriptures, texts, cylinder scrolls, papyruses, you name it. There is no book on this planet that actually, and from ancient texts, that says this is the actual real God. They're all talking about multiple gods with an S, and these gods, they all turn out to be regular old people that put their pants on one leg at a time, just like you and me. People are thinking that human beings are the only people that exist in the universe. Human beings are the new kids on the block, but we are just an offspring or a cousin of the same type of body type that exists throughout the entire universe. Earth is an abandoned seed colony. That's what we are. We're living on an abandoned seed colony, and we are really trying, scratching in the dark, trying to find our way. And a lot of the DNA and genetics that we have from our past generations, also we have the genetics and DNA from the past generations from these same people, these same beings, every single one of us. So who are the aliens? We all are the aliens, every single one of us. As a matter of fact, this planet Earth and the solar system that we're in does not even come from the Milky Way galaxy. Look it up. Earth doesn't come from the Milky Way galaxy. Earth comes from the Sagittarius dwarf galaxy. Sagittarius dwarf, not the Sagittarius constellation, but the Sagittarius dwarf galaxy is another smaller galaxy that's actually merging with the Milky Way right now as we speak. And we found out we meaning astrophysicists, found out that the point in which the merger actually occurs and actually began is where Earth and our entire solar system, was dropped into place, merging into the Milky Way. So this entire solar system is alien to this galaxy. We're not even from this galaxy. We're from a Sagittarius galaxy. We're not even from the Milky Way galaxy. And in 5 billion years, the Milky Way galaxy will merge with the Andromeda galaxy, making us Milkomeda in 5 billion years. And the sky will look, again, totally different at night. When you look up at the sky in a night that doesn't have any light pollution and you see that swath of stars going across, everybody says, that's the Milky Way. We found out that's not the Milky Way galaxy. And now all astrophysics books have already been rewritten. When you go to college and university to study astrophysics, you'll learn now today that is the Sagittarius dwarf going across the sky, not the Milky Way. And that's where Earth actually, not Earth, but this solar system. Earth came a little bit later through a merger, through a breaking down of Tiamat, and then recoalescing as Earth. But our solar system and all the materials, Earth itself was a part of another planet at one time. All of this comes from a totally different galaxy. So the story is much grander and bigger than you ever thought of, than you can ever possibly even dream if you just go out there and start doing some real research. And when you dig into this Bible and look into who's doing all the killing, you discover that the God of the Bible, which is not the creator of the universe, is the one doing all the killing. Unfortunately, that's the case. And so the true demon, the true darkness, the true dark night, the true evil and malice is coming from the one that you're dropping on your knees and crying to every night. You have to understand what you are doing. If you're going to base your entire eternity on one book and never really research it, never read every single word for word, and go back and research it and break down the context and look at different perspectives and find out where the original text and information came from, if you're not going to do that, then that means you really don't care about this God that you claim you love. What's happening is you want self-preservation. You don't want to die in this lake of fire. And so what you're doing is going through the motions, and you're hoping that you do just enough of the motions to make it in. You just skate right on in. I just skate right on in there, right? But in true reality, what you're doing is you're lying to yourself and everyone else. Because you don't love somebody you love. You know what that person's favorite color is. You know what kind of perfume or cologne they like. You know what they like to wear. You know where they like to go on trips and what they don't like and what they like to hear you say and what they don't like. You know all this stuff about a person when you love them. You know all their relatives. You know the brothers and sisters, the uncles and aunts. Over time, you get to know everybody, right? Well, some of you at 40, 50, 60 years old, you done had all these years to learn all about this God you love and this Christ that you love, and you don't know nothing. You haven't even taken the energy, the time, and the effort to learn anything about this entity or these entities. You just have been listening to somebody stand behind the pulpit screaming and sweating for a couple of hours. You throw your little change in the drawer. You read a couple of lines that they tell you to read, and you read the same ones over and over and over again. And you look at these fake Bible study books that give these fantasy stories about 2 insects walking on and 2 deer walking on at a time and 2 ticks walking on at a time and 2 ants walked on at a time onto the boat and all this kind of craziness. And then you go, man, I did real good. Forgive me for my sins. Now I'm going to heaven. What that does is it allows you to take all your personal responsibility and push it out on something else that doesn't even exist. It allows you to divert your responsibility and don't have to answer for your own actions. That's the biggest problem with these religions. So what you do is you do all this crazy stuff, and then you say, hey, you know what? I can do this. I can commit this quote unquote sin because all I got to do is beg for forgiveness. So now I go and I beg for my forgiveness. If you're Catholic, you got to pay some fee at this thing, and then you can do all this stuff, go through these rituals, and then you're good to go again. I'm fresh. I reset myself. I'm good to go. And then when you do something bad, you go, you know what? Satan made me do it. He whispered in my ear and he made me do this. This is the power of the devil. And now I just got to beg for this forgiveness again. I'm reset all over again. And so this is a vicious cycle that happens. And so what you find yourself into this vicious cycle is this whole thing about putting off accepting your own responsibility for your actions on some other outside deity source, never working on your inner self, and then blaming the reason why you did it in the first place on some other entity. And this cycle happens throughout your entire life. And then you think you're going to die and go to this magical heaven. You've been fooled, man. You've been absolutely tricked. And like I said in my previous video, the way the Bible is written, I'm going to say this and I'm ending this. The way the Bible is written, if you believe that Satan, the devil, this all-knowing entity that has all these powers to whisper into the ears of billions of men and control everything in the world, and has the highest IQ out of any of the angels, because he's not even an angel. He's a cherubim. He's not even an angel, and he's got so much power that he's almost as smart as God. Right? Used to be on the right hand of God. He has the almost the same exact level of power. And he's got all this high IQ in the thousands, probably in the tens of thousands, way smarter than a human being. And you think that this entity is going to follow this book written by men down to the letter until its own demise. Like I said that last video, isn't it more obvious that this book has been written to lead human beings down to the letter to their own demise? And that's exactly what's happening. The entity that you're worshiping and praying to and begging and everything else in that book is actually Satan. That's Enlil from the ancient Sumerian tablets, also known as Satan, the Lord of Eden. That's who you've been praying to. That's who you've been begging for help and forgiveness and everything else. But you would never know that because you don't do any studying and any research. And that's why I'm here. I'm here to give you the information. What you do with it, that's up to you. All my sources have always been disclosed. I did my forbidden book list on Forbidden Knowledge TV. You can go look at that. I went through all the necessary books you need to go through to get to this level of information. You can dedicate 20 years of your life to it, or you can say, you know what, screw it. I'll just take my chances and see if I can make it to magical heaven. I'll just see what happens. Or you can set yourself on a challenge of a journey to see how much knowledge you can gain before you pass out of this corporeal body and try to transcend into another dimension or into another body. The thing about what they've done to human beings is they've got us living such short lives that by the time we realize what's going on, we're already about to die. You know, I think that if people were living for at least 800 years, they'd get to a certain level of understanding where they realize the dogma's gone, the bullcrap is gone, the stupid religions are all gone. It's really all about the internal, the work you do on the inside of yourself and how you connect directly from the inside out to the universe and how loving you can be and how much you can help people and how you can help bring heaven to earth. How can you create your own heaven right here where you're at? That's really the ultimate mission. It's not to wait to die so you can live. The mission is to learn how to live now. But by the time you realize that, it's time to go because you're living to 50, 60. If you're lucky, 75, you're gone. Bye-bye. That's what they've done. They've shortened your lifespans considerably so that you can never wake up to that now. And they occupy you with so much work, labor, debt, pain, fear, suffering. So by the time you get to the point where you can sit down and think, you know, your retirement years, you only got a few years left. And by the time you come to the realization of what's really going on, it's time to go. It's time to go. It's too late. And that's the cycle you're on. Get the knowledge while you're young. Get the knowledge in your head while you're young. Learn how to bring heaven to earth now. Learn how to live now. Learn how to make this your heaven now. Stop waiting to die so you can live. You already are eternal. You're going to continue to live on no matter what. Complete the mission here first. This is the mission right now. Not waiting to die to go on to go figure out what the mission is. The mission is now, today. Start now, right now. No putting it off, no waiting. Today is the mission. Bringing heaven to earth and living right now. I smell the roses every single day. Man, life is good. Every single day. When you come to that realization that you have a part control in your own destiny, that you can do the inner work and create the outer work, the inner work will reflect on the outside, that you can become a master at manifesting, that you can learn how to help millions of people through conscious thoughts, that you can travel in time and see the future and do actions here today that will alter the future reality in the third dimension. That's when you are on to something. That's when you're finding out how to operate within the divine nature that already exists inside of your body, and that your consciousness is already divine being streamed into this dimension from higher dimensions. And when you come to that full understanding, you're going to let go of these religions. You're going to let go of these fake gods and these fake dogmas and all this fake stuff that's going on out here and all this fake fear that they put on you. Fear, false evidence appearing real, lake of fire, false evidence appearing real. Crucifixion, false evidence appearing real. Didn't exist, didn't happen. The Sinai Bible proved that. Predates the modern day Bible by years, and then it doesn't have no crucifixion. Doesn't exist. They found the book of Jesus' wife. It's in the Harvard Seminary. They got married. Didn't exist. But you would never know this because they don't want you to know this, because they want you to stay, quote unquote, humble, and it's a low frequency vibration. They want you to stay down on your knees, begging and crying. They want you to say, putting that money out. Pay us now. Prosperity message. Don't worry about your rent and your mortgage. You pay us, and then it will be taken care of. Then you go get on government assistance. Try to get PPP scams so you can have some money in your pocket. And if you win the PPP scam money, then you say, God gave us this money. No, you scammed for that money. That's what you did, man. Come on, guys. All right. Anyway, I'm rambling on. In the beginning of this video, I showed you guys some upcoming shows and some existing shows we have on Forbidden Knowledge TV. If you want to learn more, go to 4bk.tv. Also, I don't want you to forget that we are almost done wrapping up round 2 of the shares. We had reopened it for a very short period of time because we had a few hundred people that were literally begging and pleading for an opportunity to get shares at only $1.50. So before we went to round 3, we reopened it to give people who don't have high budgets another opportunity to be able to get shares. So if you want to get shares of Forbidden Knowledge before we go to round 3 on the Reg A+, and then eventually by next year, we're looking to list on NASDAQ on the stock exchange and take the company public. But if you want the opportunity now, this is your last chance. I think there's only a few days left. Last chance to invest. I want to drop the link in the chat. Okay. We listen to you guys a lot, and we break some of our own things down that we, plans that we had to do this, and slowed our process down to help more people, give them an opportunity to be investors because they begged for it. One lady called, like I said, crying one time. I talked about that the last video, I think, or 2 videos ago. So we did it. All right. We broke down. We did it. This is your last opportunity. I just dropped it into the chat. All right. You can also go to forbiddenknowledge.com and click on invest. You can download the offering statement, the prospectus, the pre-money valuation, all the documents, all the records that are registered with the SEC, because it's an official offering. So if you want to do that, your days for doing it are literally running out. Let me see how many days are left on this thing. I just was on the page when I dropped the link. It is there's 20 days left and 9 hours. The countdown is on that page. That link I sent you has an official countdown. Okay, there's only 20 days left. I'm gonna type this in one last time before I get off. 20 days left. I'll make sure I have it in the caption of this video and also on this podcast. You'll be able to go into the caption and you'll be able to click on this if you want the opportunity. It's there for you. All right. But after we end this round, that's it. I'm not opening it back up. We're going to move into round 3. And we are right now at the very end of the next audit for the CPA, for the SEC, with the CPA and the attorneys to register and file for the Reg A+. That's the next level. That's the 3rd round of funding. We're uplisting, and then from there, we're going to uplist to NASDAQ first quarter, second quarter at the latest of 2023. It's an amazing ride, guys. It's a ground floor opportunity, just like when Microsoft was in the garage and Apple were in the garage, Amazon was in the garage. All these, they started in the garage, right? Well, we didn't start in the garage. We started 2 years ago with Forbidden TV, but even prior to that, going all the way back to 2014, building the base, building the subscribers, building the following. And now between all social media platforms, all of our accounts is 4.5 million followers worldwide. And Forbidden Knowledge TV is a company that's already generating significant revenues every single month through subscription services. So it's not even a garage level. It's above where they were. It's a great opportunity. So this is your last chance to take advantage of it. All right. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for coming on here tonight. Thanks so much for being a part of the show and, just really taking the time to digest this information. For a lot of people, this is really hard information to digest. It's hard to take this. I understand that because belief systems are some of the hardest things to break and snap out of. And that's why I put everything so bluntly. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm not going to babysit you. I'm not going to coddle you and, give you a baby's bottle of milk and burp you. I'm going to give you the real deal. I'm going to give you it as raw and as hard as I possibly can so that you can snap out of it and you can say, you know what? I need to look into some of this stuff. See, my ultimate goal is to create researchers. That's my ultimate goal. Everything that I do generates the thought pattern that makes a person that's trying to wake up start to do their own research. And when I get a whole bunch of when I get millions and even eventually billions of researchers, then I know my mission is accomplished. That is the goal, to get people to start asking themselves questions And when you start getting the answers in your head that don't, you start saying, oh, God's talking to me. I hear the words of God. I hear the voice of God. Eventually, when that voice becomes your own voice, then you made it. You made it to the next level. All right. Anyway, guys, I love you guys. Peace. And I'll see y'all on the next one. All right. Peace. Forbidden knowledge.